Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into the science of healing. We're going to look at how our earliest relationships actually shape our brains and how it's possible to build a really secure and fulfilling life, even if you started out feeling, well, invisible. So let's just start there with a feeling that I think a lot of us can relate to. That feeling of being unseen, unheard, or just not really known for who you truly are. This feeling, it's right at the heart of a personal story that's going to guide us today. As the author says, without a secure base at home, I didn't know how to reach out to the world. It's just such a powerful image of what it means to feel unseen, and it perfectly sets the stage for this journey from deep social anxiety to real, meaningful connection. Okay, so to really get a handle on this journey, we first have to look at the science behind that feeling of invisibility. What is actually happening in our brains when we grow up this way? Well, researchers call this early experience disorganized attachment. Now think about that for a minute. The very person who is supposed to be your source of comfort is also a source of fear. It's this deeply confusing and painful dynamic that literally wires our brains for anxiety in relationships. And what's really fascinating here is that this isn't just a psychological thing. It leaves a real biological imprint. Research shows that this kind of early stress can mess with the brain's dopamine system, the very system that lets us feel motivated and excited and engaged with the world. But here is where the science offers some incredible hope. See, our brains aren't set in stone. They can be rewired. And the key to that rewiring, it's found in our relationships with other people. And that brings us to this powerful concept called earned secure attachment. This is the idea that it is never too late to learn what safety and trust actually feel like, even if you missed out on it as a kid. You can earn it. So how in the world does this happen? Well, research points to these three paths that all work together. It kicks off with what they call meta conditions. Basically, you make a conscious choice to heal and you find support. Then you go inward to the intrapsychic, which is all about redefining your own self-worth. And finally, it becomes interpersonal as you learn how to set boundaries and build trust with others. In the memoir that inspired this explainer, you can see this whole journey come to life through a single transformative relationship. It becomes this reparative experience, a connection that teaches him what true security and love really feel like, and it completely rewires his expectations. So what does this newfound safety actually feel like, on a neurochemical level? Let's take a look at what's going on inside the brain. A secure relationship can fundamentally change your brain's entire operating system. It can shift from a state of constant threat monitoring and anxiety to one of peace, excitement, and just real, genuine contentment. Now, this shift happens because two key systems in your brain finally start working together. Dopamine, which is all about excitement and reward, starts to harmonize with oxytocin, the hormone for bonding and peace. So for the first time, desire and security aren't fighting each other. They're coexisting. This quote just captures that feeling of finding a secure base so perfectly. It's that safe harbor, the place from which you can finally stop just surviving and actually start exploring the world with confidence. But life is unpredictable, right? What happens when that newfound safety, that secure base you've built, is suddenly ripped away? Research shows that new, severe trauma can actually disrupt the very brain systems that were healed. In the author's story, it was a perfect storm of health crises and professional collapse that just shattered the security he had so carefully built, and it sent him right back into a state of survival. There's a scientific term for this profound loss of joy. It's called anhedonia. It's a core symptom of complex PTSD, and it's not just a feeling. It's directly linked to a biological disruption in the brain's dopamine function, the very system that lets us feel pleasure. So this is the big question, right? How do you find your way back from a place like that? How do you even begin to rebuild hope when the biological machinery for it just feels broken? Well, this is where neuroscience gives us some really practical evidence-based tools. It turns out that simple daily actions, things like getting some morning sun, taking a brief cold shower, and eating foods rich in tyrosine, can directly help restore the brain's dopamine system. And alongside these biological tools, you need trauma-informed practices. This means things like practicing self-compassion instead of self-blame, gently re-engaging with life through what's called behavioral activation, and, crucially, intentionally building a supportive community to model what safety looks like.
And all of this brings us to the most important takeaway from all of this science and personal experience. And it is truly a message of profound hope.
The fact that you have experienced transformation, even just once, is not lost. It is proof. It is a permanent roadmap in your neurology, showing that your brain and your body have the capacity to do it. You've done it before, and that means you can do it again. This incredible ability for our brains to change throughout our lives has a name. It's neuroplasticity. And what it means is that your past does not have to be your future. Healing is always, always possible. If you want to go deeper into this journey, the full memoir we've been talking about, Tell Me I'm Not Invisible, it offers this powerful firsthand account of moving from insecurity to connection, through loss and then back toward healing. You can find it on YouTube by going to bwlinks.me/NIA. I'll say that again just to be sure. That's bwlinks.me/NIA. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer.